Let's speak with INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity, Mr. Festus Okoye, who joins us live from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for your time. This is worrisome, isn't it? First and foremost, on the preliminary, what has INEC been able to gather that is behind these attacks?
Well, some of these incidents you are talking about occurred at different periods and at different times. But these recent ones that happened, we have not been able to, pin down the motives for these attacks. But we have done what we are required to do by making sure that those incidents are reported to the police and to the fire service, and then it is their responsibility to carry out investigation relating to some of these attacks. But in truth and in fairness, we cannot say that we know the motives for these particular attacks.
If you look at all these attacks, 14 of them that we can track right here are based on our investigation and or what we can lay our hands on. Out of the 14 incidents, 7 of them have happened in southeast states, from Ebonyi to Enugu, Abia, Imo, Anambra. Virtually all the southeast states have had one attack or the other. Is there any reason you think, from the Commission's point of view, that these attacks have happened, 50% of it in the southeast states?
Well, I'm really not in a position to make a conjecture or profile some of these attacks in relation to some of them happening in the southeast. Yes, I know that there were some of the attacks happened either immediately after an election or immediately or after a particular election. There were also attacks in some of our facilities during the NSAS protest. So that one is understandable, and that one we can understand because there was a national security challenge at that particular point in time. But these 3 attacks, or 4 attacks rather, that took place in May, we are unable to make a determination on why these attacks occurred, because most of them occurred in the night, and given also the challenge the security agencies are having in some of the states in the southeast, it's really, really difficult for us to make a determination on the reasons behind this systematic and coordinated attacks at INEC offices, especially in the southeast and south of recent.
So you took it out of my mouth. So I was going to say, does the Commission feel this is a coordinated and orchestrated attack on the institution?
Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission and its offices are national assets, and they represent the symbols of our democracy. So we really do not know the motives behind some of these attacks. We don't even know what the people who are attacking our offices want, because in most of these places that these attacks have occurred of recent, there are no elections coming up in any of those states, and even the elections we have had recently in terms of by-elections did not take place in some of these local governments where these attacks are happening. So what we have done is to invite all the resident electoral commissioners in all the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, to come to Abuja on Wednesday for us to review and see whether we can make any sense out of these attacks. And then thereafter, we'll also meet on Friday with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, so that we can map our strategies and tactics on how to safeguard our facilities, because so many of the items in our local government offices are not things that you can purchase off the shelf. And we just finished auditing of the materials we have in all the 774 local governments, preparatory to some of the off-season elections, and also preparatory to the 2023 elections. We want to know what we have, we want to know the shortfalls, and also know what to place order for, and also do budgeting and get the funds appropriated for them. So for us, we don't know the motives, and it's a huge setback on our preparations for some of the off-season elections we have and the 2023 election.
All right, Mr. Okoye, please stay with us because we know that there is an election coming in November. That's in Anambra. So when we did our analysis right here and we look at the impact of some of these attacks on the Southeast, when you're having off-season elections, you always deploy from surrounding states, which means that you will deploy from surrounding states to Anambra. What effect would this have on the election, the governorship election in Anambra? But we'll take a break. When we come back, you will be telling us more the fear of these attacks on INEC and our elections. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on Channels Television. The fear that INEC might be under siege, considering the kind of attacks that we have seen in just about 2 years, there's about 14 attacks on INEC offices across the country. 7 out of those attacks happened in the southeast region of the country. Take a look at the map there again for you to see some of the states where we've seen these attacks happen. From Anambra to Ondo, Rivers, Plateau, Imo, Ebonyi, FCT, Abia, twice in Abia, twice in Enugu now, Akwa Ibom and Kano State. These are the states that have had share in some of these attacks. And the timeline we've shown you right here on when this started. We have been seeing this from the one that we saw in Plateau up until what happened yesterday night in Enugu, the attack on the headquarters of INEC there in Enugu. If you flip the page so that you can see how these attacks have come over the past few months. INEC's National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity, Festus Okoye, is being a guest tonight on the program, giving insight on the fear that we have that if these attacks continue, what are the impact on our elections? Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for joining us. Before I allow you to answer that question that I prepped you before we went on that break, I need you to probably give us a sense of the impact of some of these attacks. One of the attacks is on your data processing center in the FCT. So it means a lot for your data, the data that you have been putting together over the years. Give us a sense on how much INEC has lost, or what is the level of impact of these attacks. Highest being 10, lowest 1. What is the range of this attack on INEC?
Well, in relation to some of these attacks and their implications, you know, at the base level, at the local government level, the electoral officers serve as more or less as managing directors of our elections, because we don't conduct elections at the INEC headquarters. It is at the base level that these elections are conducted. You also know that we just finished verification relating to expansion of voter access to the polling units. It was at the various local government offices that these things were coordinated. They coordinated the georeferencing of the old polling units and the new polling units, and they'll deploy their officers to all the places where we carried out movement of voting points into full-fledged polling units and relocating them. The local government offices also will be the ones who are going to coordinate and carry out the continuous voters registration that we commence on the 28th day of June 2021. And for Anambra particularly, because of the elections coming up, we want to deploy more machines to Anambra State for purposes of capturing those who are now eligible to register and those who have registered before and have a few challenges, because we have to register them, print their permanent voters cards, and then after some time stop and resume after the elections. Now, if you attack our local government office, you are attacking our capacity and capability of conducting elections. This is because in most of the places where we keep core members for them to deploy at the first light, they don't have electricity. So we buy generator for every registration area. And some of these generators are in the local government offices. Our ballot papers and our ballot boxes and cubicles are in those offices. And so many of our both sensitive and non-sensitive materials are in those offices. So when you displace the commission, the implication is that the commission may have to go and look for a rented house. And when the commission goes to look for a rented house, you don't know the political disposition or inclination of the landlord of that particular office. You may just come on election day and find out that your office is locked. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So we are worried that our preparations are being distracted and distorted, and we are also worried because some of our officers are now living in fear in relation to what is going on, and that is what we want to discuss with resident electoral commissioners and discuss with representatives of the various security agencies who are in the interagency consultative committee on election security. In relation to the incident in Kano, we told the nation that most of our sensitive materials are offline. So most of the data are also offline, and we have a central place where some of these data are stored and can be retrieved. But there is no doubt whatsoever that what is going on is unacceptable. What is going on is going to divert the attention of the Commission from early preparations for the 2023 election and for the off-season elections that we are organizing. And that is why we are calling for this high-level meeting with our resident electoral commissioners and with the various security agencies so that we can put heads together, make a determination on what is happening, and then plot the way forward in terms of safeguarding these national assets and symbols of our democracy.
So we want to get it clearly, Mr. Okoye. Are some of your voting materials, like the capturing machine, the PVCs, are they lost in some of these attacks? Will Anambra election be affected in any way?
There are some sensitive materials that we do not leave at the local governments, at our local government offices, because they are sensitive. But there are some materials that are in our state offices that are of high national security, that have high national security implications. So we are worried about some of these materials, especially our smart card readers and other sensitive electronic equipment that we use for either for voters registration or for or during election itself. But at the base level, at the local government level, what we have mostly at the local government level are generators, voting cubicles, ballot boxes, and also other materials that are used regularly for election. Some of them are stored at various offices. So what is going on will definitely affect INEC's preparations. For one of the offices that was recently attacked is a prototype office that has just been renovated. Now all the officers have been displaced. All their tables, all their equipment, in terms of photocopiers, in terms of laptops, in terms of desktops, have all gone up in flames. And these are things that we are purchased with taxpayers' money. And so I believe that we must find ways and means of protecting these offices because, as I said, they are national assets and symbols of our democracy.
Yeah,
and
quickly
elections
before we
cannot take place without these local governments.
Quickly before we close, a quick one. The location of some of the offices, are they also suspect in some of the, because I know in most of the offices that I've visited across the country, they are the end part of town. Could this also be the reason? Are you thinking of relocating your offices into to the inner part of town?
Well, that is part of the things we are going to discuss with the resident electoral commissioners. But you see, most of these the places where we have some of these offices, we are lands allocated to us either by the state government or the local government. So it is where they give us that we build. But in some of the places, our offices are located in very, very good places. But there are a few of them that are located in places that are slightly far removed from the town. So it's part of the issues we are going to deliberate on.
On a final note, and in perhaps just 30 seconds, Mr. Okoye, if you can tell us, you've increased polling units in Anambra State from 4,608 to 5,720. You've created an additional over 1,000 in addition. Will they be active will they be activated for the governorship election in November?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility that the moment the commission meets to verify all the reports we have from the various states, and we're able to authenticate them, there is a possibility that the new polling units will be active during the Anambra governorship election, because we still have some time before the elections, because we are going to conduct voters registration in some of those new polling units.
All right. Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner of INEC in charge of voter education and publicity, thank you so much indeed for the insight and some of your the thought that you've shared with us. Thank you so much. And it's unfortunate what is happening to INEC. Thank you so much indeed for your time.